Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Weddings Uncovered. And joining me today is a husband and wife duo whose work I absolutely love. So I'm so excited to have them both here. It's Raj and Sharul, who are expert wedding photographers. So hi guys, how are you?
Hi Meera.
Meera.
Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, we're good.
Thank
How are
you
you?
so much. So for anyone that's not too familiar with your work or what you do, are you able to just kind of explain a bit more about your services?
So firstly, I'm Raj, this is Sharul. We are Raj Passy Photography as a joint team. So I guess photography kind of came to us whilst we were traveling, probably, because I think everybody wants to take amazing pictures and freeze their kind of travel experiences. And I think people saw some of our sort of travel work and then decided that they wanted to capture some of that storytelling and adventure style into their weddings.
Yeah, that's how I got my first camera. I wanted to take better photos for Instagram and then realize it's actually really hard to learn those technical stuff. And then I was in Vancouver at the time doing some work abroad, and Raj flew over with a printed manual because that's how much of a geek he is, and went through like page by page how to kind of deconstruct and figure out how to work a DSLR.
I love that. Can I also have a copy of that? Because that would be amazing. Everybody wants to take better Instagram pictures, can I just say?
we could include a little chapter of how to do your own wedding photography in your book as an appendix.
I would love that. So, I mean, you went from that to wedding photography. How did it come about?
So I guess I think for us, it was about putting our authentic voice across. So I think when we were sharing us kind of being in these kind of really beautiful locations, we found that a lot of the couples that were getting in touch with us found that they didn't want that sort of kind of quite cliched, contrived, serious wedding photography. They wanted to showcase themselves and their spirits of them having fun at an event, but also still kind of, experiencing it in the moment rather than turning every wedding, like the whole day, into a sort of a choreographed photo shoot. They wanted to experience it in its entirety and have photographers that would be able to capture the feeling rather than just showcasing how things looked.
Yeah. And also, as photographers, I think a lot of people that are into photography as a hobby, inevitably some friend or family member asks them, like, do you want to take photos of our family, or I'll come to the wedding and take some photos. And when that was our first experience, when a friend's sister asked us to do her wedding, and we were really honored but super nervous too, because it's such a huge responsibility, and we wanted to take that seriously, so we spent months preparing for it and learning about it and practicing with it as well.
And we still get invited to that uncle and auntie's house. They show us their original photos, and obviously this is 5-6 years ago, so they're so proud that they invited us as their sort of family friends, but we were able to be part of their story by taking pictures.
We didn't expect to love it as much as we did back then, and we were hooked.
And we're still here.
It must have been the best feeling ever. And actually a lot of photographers, funny enough, like you said, say that somebody had just seen their work or maybe wanted to save a bit of money, and they just say, can you please come and take our photographs? And then there you go. It's like a whole new career that has just landed. So as you know, Weddings Uncovered is all about speaking to suppliers about their own wedding planning journey. So whether they've been married for a long time, just got married recently, or maybe just got engaged, because the real thing is that everybody has their own journey, their own ideas, and it's just about kind of bringing on board some of the tips that maybe you can give to these couples, because everybody is so unique and so different. So while I can provide actually logistical planning tips, I think it's very different when you're talking to real life couples, and it's very rare for me to have two people together who actually work together and are married. So I feel very honored. So let's kind of rewind back to your wedding planning journey. When did you guys get married?
2014. Raj proposed in 2014, and do you know what?
You can tell that we are, our wedding date wasn't like the sort of thing that defined us. It was more a journey of how we came to that date rather than the actual date. Because for us, it was about kind of planning something that was just about us. So we kind of yeah, we'll come on to the actual wedding day itself. But in terms of, to answer your question about what sort of things were important to us, I think the most important thing for us was just to celebrate ourselves and our relationships mainly with each other, rather than making it about pageantry and about performance. It was literally just about both of us saying a few important words together and then kind of just formalizing it.
You know,
And
I specifically love that. I was
Meera,
just going to say, because that is so relevant right now, because with such small numbers, I think the type of events that you probably had and maybe your journey is something that a lot of people can probably relate to. So sorry, Sharul, you were just saying.
I was just gonna say, I started reading your book and it's so good. I'm really invested in Rishi and Selena now. I love the way that you've structured the book and how easily you can read and delve into their world and come into the practicalities of it. And the kind of first chapter where you talk about the priorities, like what your actual top 3 priorities are, I feel like that's exactly right. That's what we did. We sat down and we figured out what are our compromisables and what do we absolutely do not want to compromise on. And it took a little bit of compromise amongst us to figure that out first, and then speak to our parents, because inevitably, you know, we're both Indian and Punjabi, and the wedding was always going to be a big part of our parents' life as well, and they wanted to have a say and they wanted to have a part to play.
And this is pre-COVID, when we didn't really have an excuse as to why we wanted something small and intimate. So I think now a lot of Indian parents are probably a little bit more sort of comfortable, because that's what the law says. But I think it was an uphill battle for us, because as Sharul says, we had to figure out what our non-negotiables were, that we wanted X number of guests, or we didn't want something perhaps religious, and then figure out what are the things that we're happy to negotiate on. So, you know, our parents wanted a large number of starters or mains, or, you know, it's that kind of thing that we were like, okay, well, if you'd like that, then that's fine. So yeah, it's just about building priorities.
Exactly. You are like my ideal couple, because you've probably taken something from the book. Obviously, you got married prior to the book releasing, and can I just say, I did not pay either of them to talk about the book. So that was completely their own opinion. So what happened then from the proposal, you know, to that time in between the wedding when you were planning? Like, were there ever any disputes? Like you said, you did have to compromise on some bits. So was it more the both of you having to compromise, or actually as a couple, you having to compromise with your parents? Like, what was the key thing there?
So
probably the latter, isn't it? Because I think we knew from our point of view what was important to us. As an example, we didn't, because we aren't, although we were Hindu by sort of birth, we weren't really practicing, we didn't practice Hinduism, so we didn't quite feel like the ceremony itself held a lot of, like, we didn't quite understand it as much, so we kind of decided that actually what would be of meaning to us, so we decided to not have that part. So I think probably that was in the journey, that was the bit that our parents needed a little bit more kind of understanding as to why we might not want that side of it. And then I think when we actually did get married, because sort of Sharul's cousin was deciding to get married in India, and we thought, oh, a lot of the family is going to be there already, so why don't we just make everybody's lives easier and just have a party the next day? So in the lead up to it, Sharul and I just literally went to Leeds City Council, got some witnesses, and got married. So that was our sort of civil thing. There was myself, 2 witnesses, Sharul and me, and 2 witnesses. And
so it was a little bit of an elopement in that sense. But then when it came to our wedding, there was, I suppose it was trying to reach a compromise between what was the shared language that we were all speaking, what was important to us. And for all our families, despite everyone's different values and what must there be on the wedding day, what we really wanted was our close friends and family together, having a good time, not really stressed and not really worried about how everyone's doing, but just together and enjoying themselves. And I'm saying that now and it makes sense, but actually coming to that process took a lot of back and forth, and I'm not going to lie, some shouting down the phone and some tears and some screaming, and just realizing some things you can compromise on, and other things I didn't realize how important it was for parents to have like at least 12 starters on the wedding day. Apparently it's painful to have less than 12, so that was a discovery, but then they compromised.
Yeah, and I think that the interesting thing for us is after the wedding, our parents almost became ambassadors for our approach. So they then started posting on their WhatsApp groups and their Facebook groups and saying, our children are so wonderful. They decided to cut out all of the other stuff around the wedding day and decided to just keep it about the enjoyment. So we were quite happy.
Yeah.
And Meera, if you don't mind me kind of inserting into this how we approach the photography of it.
Go for it.
Okay, so as you guys know, I'm a wedding photographer, and I am very, very precious about my wedding photos. So we were so almost so certain about what style we wanted that we just simply couldn't find anybody that was able to tell the story in the way that we wanted and that we could afford. Yeah. So the wedding photographers that we wanted charged north of $20,000 US.
Wow. Okay.
Now, we didn't have that kind of budget.
Yeah.
And for us, when we speak to our new couples now, what we say to them is, when you experience your wedding day, and then when you get your photographs, we are essentially replacing the memories in your mind with photographs. And then the thing that's going to last 10 years down the line mainly is going to be the photographs. Mm-hmm. So the burden of actually telling the story in the most honest and authentic and artistic way is huge. And we simply just didn't want to give that burden to anybody because we couldn't afford the ones that we wanted. And so we decided not to have any professional wedding photography, and we shot it ourselves.
Okay, so how did that even work? Like, tell me, physically, how did this happen?
I mean, the photos were rubbish, so.
We're too distracted with drinking and dancing. So yeah.
Tripods were involved. Friends were sort of roped in for pictures with us in them. But yeah, that tripod was our friend. Physically, yeah. That's
mostly we don't have that many wedding pictures that we can look back and hang up and put around the room. We have some really good photos of our families that we took, but of us together we don't have a lot. But those are really precious to us, and yeah, we have them up everywhere.
Is it something you regret though, not having a photographer? Because it sounds like you just had such a great time. But as photographers now, do you then regret not having those pictures? Like, what goes through your mind?
For me, no, because I feel like what options were available to us at that time, where we were psychologically, I don't think that our memories could be supported or enhanced by the kinds of photography that we could afford at the time. So I'd rather have my memories than photographs, because I think the memories were really important. Now, if we had a wedding, perhaps we would, prioritize photography, because we are so invested in what we create for our couples that we understand kind of the value of it. But I think at the time, and in terms of our financial situation at the time, we don't regret it.
So, I mean, tell me, what was like maybe one of your standout moments? I'll come to you individually, but tell me, like, in terms of the entire experience and the day itself, or the proposal, or I know you must have had, different kinds of celebrations. For you, what is that one special moment that comes to mind when you think about like your wedding?
I think it was
pre-party.
Yeah, it was the night before. So what we did end up doing for our wedding was that we had our close friends and family, about 60, 70 of them, together for a long weekend in one hotel, and we were together literally from
breakfast, lunch, dinner
until nighttime, and we just hung out together and entertained each other and played games and danced a lot and drank a lot. And then at the end of that, we had a reception somewhere else at a country club in Delhi, where more people came from the outside. So friends of friends and dad's friends and mum's friends and all the extra people that we know and love, but maybe we weren't as intimate with. Yeah. So I think it was the first afternoon or evening that we were together, and one of our best friends who flew over from Dubai did a surprise dance of kind of 2-3 minutes, and we were sat in the middle with kind of our favorite friends and family all around us, and there were our favorite goofballs doing this lovely dance.
And not afraid to make fun of themselves, just completely doing it for us. And I think that then started our sort of enjoyment of the day.
And just looking around this room of everyone that is so close to you and so precious to you is just happy to be there and happy for you, and happy for you to start your life together. And just that feeling is so overwhelming and lovely, and
that's probably our standout
You've
moment.
taken me back, Meera.
It just sounds like such a like warm and fuzzy environment. I love it. So in terms of like, you know, favorite moment is clearly that, but were there any like big challenges, like any kind of, you know, moments where you just wanted to say, I want to throw it all in, or tears, or like shouting? Like, was there anything that actually was a real challenge for you? What was the biggest thing?
I'd say probably the negotiation aspect in the lead up to it with the parents. I think that is something that is quite sort of unadvertised or underrated. You know, a lot of couples maybe don't share with people like us who are their suppliers, or maybe even yourselves, Meera, about how money kind of conversations go in. Because if you imagine, you know, parents grew up in a different context. The sort of next generation have grown up in a different context. The things that hold meaning to us, the things that are relevant to us, are different. So I think the negotiation, and my parents live in India, so you know, Sharul's parents live here, so there was a little bit of that aspect as well, that what society our parents have to kind of live in and sort of live and breathe versus what we have to live and breathe. So I think probably the negotiation aspect of it was the tough part. Because I think when it comes to marriages, births, deaths, a lot of people have some very kind of maybe some emotional kind of reasons for the way they do things, and the context again that they live in. So people will be like, you can't have a marriage without X, Y, and Z. You can't have a death without X, Y, and Z. So I think when those barriers were sort of being presented to us, that's probably where we were like, maybe we don't want to get married if that's what it means to so-and-so person. Maybe what we want to do is whatever we want to do. So,
So knowing what you know now, you know, as a couple who've obviously had their wedding, you'll now been married for a while, and you've actually worked with so many couples as suppliers, what advice would you give to those people just starting out on their wedding planning journey? What would you say to them?
Read your book.
Yeah, probably.
Great. Really love you guys.
You can pay us the £5 later.
It's true though what you said. It's just take a deep breath, enjoy being engaged, and just between yourself set priorities, or within yourself as well. Try and figure out what's important to you, and that took me some time to figure out. And I think naturally you're quite a headstrong person, and you know what you like and what you don't like, whereas I'm a bit more fluid, and I kind of wasn't so sure, and I'm a little bit more dreamy and go from one thing to another. So actually coming to that awareness yourself, and then bringing that to the table with your partner, and figuring out what out of this would you like to prioritize. And just be accepting that, you know, it may not be 100% of what you really want it to be. But at the end of the day, you're getting to marry this person, and staying with their annoyances your whole life.
I just actually echo that. Actually, you've put it really well. I think making sure that you put out your own sort of fears, hopes, dreams to each other first, and then kind of thinking, are you on the same page? And once you are on the same page, then kind of going together as a unit to the family and saying, this is what we think we would really like. And then obviously welcoming opinions, because as we know with Indian and interfaith marriages, it's not just the couple that's getting married, it's actually a whole family that's kind of getting together. So everybody has expectations, and it's about making sure that you do it in a way that's respectful to them, but also to who you are as people.
Well, I think you both just summarized that really beautifully. So, you know, if you could do everything all over again, would you literally just have what you had, or would you make any changes? What do you think?
I would probably have a planner because it'd be much easier, and have some of the photographers we know now to come and photograph our wedding.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think from my point of view, I wouldn't really change the actual wedding day, because I think the experience that we had was only possible because of all of the context that was within that. So because it was a little bit more DIY, because it was kind of appended onto one of Sharul's cousins' weddings, all of those things contributed to why it was, as you described, sort of warm and fuzzy and just fun and not stressful. There's even a photo of us, actually, of, you know, the friends that we said that danced at our wedding. There's actually a photo of us driving to our reception with both Sharul and I fallen asleep on her shoulder. So she's kind of in the middle. We're in the back of the car.
We were so exhausted.
And we're sleeping. Yeah, we're sleeping right before our wedding in these like nice clothes. So I don't think I'd change anything. I mean, what I might want to do is have maybe even a kind of an extended celebration, perhaps abroad. I think that would have been really nice. Maybe somewhere completely different to India, like Iceland.
That was the original plan that we compromised on. We were hoping to do it in Southeast Asia and Thailand firstly, but yeah, grandparents and family couldn't make it. So
God, it sounds beautiful, and I honestly wish, like, you know, I was there, because it sounds like the most amazing kind of celebration that you could have, and it sounds like you really enjoyed it. And I think, you know, so often couples just feel so stressed, and even on the day you can kind of see them just constantly looking around, and it sounds like you were that couple that didn't do that. You just wanted to be in that moment, be present, and just really enjoy what you had. And I think ultimately that's what, you know, the wedding day should really be about. So it sounds beautiful. And, you know, before I let you go, do you just want to share, you know, how people can get in touch with you if they would actually like to book your services or have a chat with you in terms of photography?
I guess the first thing to say is get in touch via Instagram. We're Raj Passy Photography. The most important thing for us is that we're the right fit for our couples. So we try and do a very limited number of weddings, because that's how we're able to give ourselves fully to each couple. Next year is obviously super busy. 2021, as you know, Meera, is going to be an interesting one for the wedding industry. But, you know, it's been really sort of heartening for us to see how couples have kind of gone through 2020 and into 2021. So I guess get in touch with us, talk to us, make sure we're the right fit for you guys, and then we can kind of take the conversation further.
Perfect. Thank you so much, guys. It's been such a pleasure.
Thanks so much for having us on.